Welcome to the Agribusiness Global Report, a show that brings you executives interviewing executives or experts working in the agrochemical, biological, and plant health industries. In this two-part presentation, Dr. Nicolas Potrie, Director of TAFIREL, interviews Ana Laura de la Sagua Ero from the Ero Group, one of the largest exporters of commodities from Uruguay, and Professor Ignacio Bartesagui from the Institute of International Business of the Catholic University of Uruguay. They'll discuss their recent visit to Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. The trio is part of a group of executives from Mercosur countries looking to strengthen the relationship between those regions. In part two of this report, Nicolas Potrie continues his discussion with Ana Laura and Ignacio.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody from Agribusiness Global. We would like to introduce today our two guests that came from Latin America, from Uruguay, Mrs. Ana Laura de Lizaguerro from Ero Group. Welcome to join us. Ero is one of the biggest players and exporters of commodities and food from Uruguay. And on the other hand, we have Professor Ignacio Bartesagui from the Institute of International Business of the Catholic University of Uruguay. So both of you, welcome to this chat. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Agribusiness Global, to join this kind of interview, and we can share our insights of the trip that we did with the Mercosur ASEAN Chamber of Commerce. It's incredible. It's incredible the opportunities that we face, and we need sometimes. Professor Ignacio also knows the free trade agreements are very important for small economies like us. And Mercosur were more than 20 years negotiating with the European Union the free trade agreement, and seems that still difficult. A political problem inside the UE, and the whole world has problem. So how can you see, Professor, the huge agreement that the world are dealing now, like RCEP or CPTPP? Is there any chance for Mercosur region to sign some kind of those agreement with Southeast Asia countries?
It's difficult, Nicolas. It's we are not really having a very good reaction about these trends in mega blocks, CPTPP, for example, or RCEP in the case of Asia, that we're talking about 15 very big economies together, or CTPP now 12, because UK is now part of the bloc, going to entrance. But okay, Uruguay is trying to react, because we asked to be part of CPTPP last year, but we are alone. We have to be aware that Mercosur countries are not prepared to open with Asia economies. So I'm very worried about this, because all our competitors, for example, Australia, New Zealand, and not only the same countries of ASEAN, or Japan or South Korea, that South Korea has, and Japan also, a very strong relation with Asia, South Asia members. So the problem is that we pay a lot of tariffs, and they're not paying tariffs to export our products. So of course, that is a big issue. I think that we are very slow. As you said, we continue having a discussion about the agreement with the European Union. We don't have an agenda, an agreement with US. We don't have an agenda with China. Of course, again, Uruguay is trying to push an agenda, a bilateral agenda with China, but Mercosur wanted that. So this discussion, I think, is a central discussion, because we need to increase our competitive, and we need to cut the tariffs we pay in this region. And for the moment, I think that our reaction is very slow, and we're not seeing that film that is going so fast around the world. Free trade agreements, not only mega blocks, bilateral free trade agreements are part of globalization, of economic globalization. And Mercosur countries are really slow in this issue. So we must react, of course.
And how can you tell, how what can you tell us about the universities in the countries that you visit, Filipinas, Malaysia, Thailand? Is any difference with Western countries' universities?
Yes, they are. That's a good question. They are really prepared for, and Laura talk about this. Asia countries are always looking in long terms. In Latin America and in Mercosur country, we are always in the short terms or middle terms. So it's not possible for us to see 30 years for the future. It's difficult. They are really prepared. So when I talk with my partners in this part of the world, they are always thinking what is going to happen because China is going to invest. For example, the acceleration of technological investments in China. When we visit Thailand in this trip, we're talking now, China is investing a lot in electrical cars in Thailand. And now that investment, it's only focused in the internal market. But they are studying in the university what is going to happen 20 years in the future. Why? Because Thailand is going to be the ones of the bigger exporters of electrical car in the region and in the world. Why? Because of China investment. So all that patterns and trends, they always look in that. I think that they have that ability that in case of Latin American and Mercosur countries, we're looking always, okay, when is going to change the government? And it's really probably that public policies will change again. And that, of course, is a problem. So these universities are improving a lot. We have in these countries one of the best universities of Asia already. For example, Singapore is very good in the rankings, but Philippines, in Manila, of course, Thailand, Malaysia, they have very good universities and they have very international teams, professors that know about the world, professors that know what is going to happen in the future.
That's good to hear. And also the presentation of this trip, Ana Laura, you can tell us that it's very good to be with Mercosur because we were a chamber that represents 4 countries. Sometimes for us that we belong to small countries like Uruguay, Paraguay, it's difficult to sell our country because nobody knows where we are, the difference between Uruguay and Paraguay. So when you go together, it's easier, right?
It's easier, helps a lot. We have 2 giants as Brazil and Argentina, and we are very proud that the resource that they had, and sometimes we are jealous, but we hope we work together. And I think it's the best way to put in context, who we are. All the meetings that we've been with the counterparties start within the mission, and then in Singapore and another company, we have to put in context who we are in Latin America, because sometimes think in Latin America, we are talking about Colombia, Mexico, no, Mercosur. We are these 4 countries, so we are in a missions, and we are these to offer, and this is our strong, and this is our weakness, and we have to work on them. But also, we are in some things complementary. For example, in grains, sometimes we load vessels that complete in Argentina and complete the vessel in Brazilian ports. Sometimes we have some strong in that better infrastructure that we have in our port, that we can export Uruguayan 100% grains from Uruguay. But sometimes to get more competitive, we are complementary, and this is important to let our customer know, and in a first meeting show them what you can do here. We have the hydrovia, we are very close to the other ports, to Paraguay, to Argentina. They are so efficiency. They are the best export of oil or crushers from Argentina, and we are complementary. Sometimes we export together. So I agree with you that put in context who we are.
That's great. That's great. So any other comments about the trip or the mission you want to add?
I'd like to remark the role that our embassy in Kuala Lumpur, our Uruguayan embassy in Kuala Lumpur, our ambassador Valeria Sukasi, the consul Mariela Machado, and all her teams who made a very professional work for our visit, and also linking us with another company, another institutions. So my greetings, and I am thankful for them, because they was a great hospitality and also a very professional work in this role.
Yes, that's very important to see and to remark, because public sector, usually in our industry that we came from private sector, we are not so related. And in Asia countries, the public sector has a lot of importance. So also we appreciate the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Uruguay and Argentina in this delegation.
Sure, for sure.
Ignacio?
No, yes, no, and Laura has a really important point, because I think we need to think about our embassies, the importance to have more embassies in this region, because
Yes.
they play a role really important. For example, it's important to remark that Paraguay hasn't any embassy in this region. So for Mercosur, we need to open more embassies. They play an important role. And finally, Nicolas, I want to remark only to say that the GDP of ASEAN members in average will increase more than 5% in this year. So it's one of the more dynamic regions of the world. And also it's a region very focused in peace. That is also important, because when we talk about ASEAN, we talk about peace. And peace is really important for business. And so and in this situation, very complicated situation between the tensions of US and China, I think that the role of ASEAN is great. So we can diversify our business there, because it's going to be a region that will support always the peace, and it's a region that is increasing a lot. So I think that we must accelerate our business there.
Yes, and also the difference of the culture, the religion, that sometimes for Western world is difficult to understand, the Muslim world, the Buddhist world, even the non-religion. Sometimes we need to adapt our offers and our trade also with the cultural diversity, right?
Of course, and that is again, for the beginning, more and more information. We need to know more about this region. We need to be more prepared. I think that our region must learn this. We need more information. Asian countries are really prepared. They read. They think the future. In our case, we need to improve in that issue.
That's great. This is the main goals for Agribusiness Global, to connect everybody, the industry and the world. So we really appreciate your time today, and thank you very much, Ana Laura, Elizagui Erro from Erro Group, Professor Ignacio Bartesagui from the Catholic University of Montevideo, Uruguay. And we hope we can see very soon next time. Thank you.